All right. Cool beans. Let's get started.
How do I pin it so I'm only talking to you? I don't use Google Meet as much.
So what I normally do, like I have you pinned. So you want to pin me
Okay,
or pin both of us?
just you.
Okay, go to where I am and you'll see three
Yeah.
things. You'll see a little pin. You got it?
Yes.
All
Okay,
right.
wonderful.
All
And how do I minimize everybody on the side?
If you go to the three dots at the bottom, see, that's why we need to get Google. This Zoom thing, I'm not a Zoom fan.
Let's see.
Yeah,
But
if
this
you
is
go to the three dots, you should see all the options.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'll just leave it. It's okay. We can do this. I just like to focus on it. Wonderful.
So we're on week 3 actually. So we did Leo, we did Jane. Now we're with Monga, my sister from another mother. I've known Monga, I want to say like over 20 years. So almost everyone I'm talking to, I've known for a really, really long time. So again, this is part of the Wezesha series. And the first set of talks, we're talking about self-employed versus corporate employed. I've been corporate employed for over 30 years. And so I'm team corporate, but then I've always been amazed at how people have switched from corporate to self-employed. And so I really want to understand what makes people switch. And that's why we're having this series of talks. For those who don't know me, I'm Ichi. And yeah, I'm just excited to be on week 3 with Monga. So next thing I want to make sure everyone knows, this series of talks is sponsored by BBI Design Solutions. BBI Design Solutions provides all sorts of renovation and remodeling, plus new construction, all interior design needs. Some of you have taken advantage of these services. Some of you are about to take advantage of these services. So for those who don't, I encourage you to follow us on Instagram at BBI Design Solutions and also the website. And with that said, thank you, Duta. Man, okay, where do I start? Monga, everywhere I talk about, I put some notes here specifically for you. So I'm going to read verbatim what I said today. I'm honored to host my sister from another mother, Monga Chuulu Abila. I've known Monga for over 20 years, which is true, but I've known her husband for over 40 years. So
that is scary, yo.
I've known Soleil
that
for
is
over
scary.
actually it's going on like 45 years. I've known him from like when he was really young, right? Yeah, Monga is a good friend, and today she's going to provide a really unique experience. I think there's so many things that I want to talk to you about, but I'm going to mention some things, Monga. One is you always say you're a wife, you're an autism mama, and you have a passion for teaching women about the power of trading and investing. So that's sort of your signature phrase. So before we get started, as you know, I always try and catch people with little this versus that. I do know some things about you. I know how much you've traveled. Actually, let me ask you this. How many countries have you been to?
30 something. I'm not certain, but it's 30 something, I think.
30 something countries, and not just
Yes.
30 something countries, like 30 something countries, like spread out. It's not like I've been to the 30 states in the US or 15 countries in Europe and the rest of the countries in South America. You've really been spread out in a lot of countries, right?
Yeah, I get around.
Okay.
A little bit.
So here we go.
That is my passion. All right.
So I'm going to ask you this.
Okay.
Egypt or Morocco?
Egypt.
All right. France or Italy?
Italy. Hands down. I actually didn't love France at all.
The what?
I actually didn't love France. Well, actually, I only went to Paris, but Italy, hands down.
Italy, hands down. Scotland or Wales?
Scotland. I like Scotland.
Okay. Spain or Croatia?
Oh my goodness.
Don't think. Spain or Croatia?
Croatia. I'm sorry.
Croatia. Panama or Costa Rica?
Costa Rica.
You see how this chick has troubles.
She said, Dave.
Argentina or Australia?
Argentina.
Argentina. Wow. Argentina, Scotland, Costa Rica, Italy, Croatia, Egypt, and I haven't even named other countries. So, what is the best country you visited so far?
I would say Italy. I would say
Italy.
Italy, and I want to go back. For my 50th birthday, my plan is to spend a month in Italy. So that's what I'm working on.
Are we invited?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can join me.
Okay, okay. Now the last question, just one more, right? Has nothing to do
Okay.
with country. It's just that
Mhm.
my buddy Soleil, a husband who I've known for over 40 years, right? Every time we hang out with him, he's the best dressed guy, always best dressed. And I know that's courtesy of you. So I'm going to ask you, Burberry or John Varvatos?
For him, it's Barbados, but
Oh.
it's not his dressing is actually not courtesy of me. Do you know my husband? I use 1/3 of the closet. He uses the other 2/3.
Oh, so he's that guy
Yeah,
with two-thirds of
yeah.
the
So he
closet.
does all his stuff. It's not me. He does all his stuff. He does his own stuff.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get started. I've known you for a while, but a lot of people here don't know you. There's so many reasons why I thought about you when we're having this discussion. So how about we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and sort of like your personal journey?
Okay, wonderful. Well, before I do that, thank you for inviting me to the Cool Kids Club. Thank you so much. I love seeing you do this, Ichi. It's just an extension of your personality, I know, but it's just nice to see you as one of the guys doing this kind of thing. So it's really cool. I invited some of them. I hope they come. So this is awesome. Thank you for inviting me to the Cool Kids Club. I love what you're doing. Really, really important conversation. So my name is Monga, originally from Zambia. My husband is Kenyan. We have 2 daughters, one who is almost 15, believe it or not.
Tomorrow,
And then,
right?
yeah, no, actually the day after, but good memory. Yeah, she's almost 15, and then my other one is 13. We live in Southern California. Let's see, I came to the US with the objective, or rather my parents' objective, to send me to medical school. But soon after, I realized very quickly that it just wasn't going to happen. There's no way I was going to be able to pay for medical school, being an international student. And I also didn't even love the work. So after I finished my bachelor's degree in biology, I ended up doing a master's in public health administration. And after that, I found myself in clinical trials, pharmaceuticals. Then I jumped into electronic medical records and a couple of other things in between. But I've mostly been in healthcare. My last role was not my second last role actually was in healthcare IT, essentially at a cancer hospital. And then that was until 2020. And then I made some changes after that. My life really began after 2020.
That is so crazy because, when I think about the people I've spoken to in the past, right? So, Leo, and I think with him, his self-employment was an extension of his corporate employment, right? Like what he did in corporate, he sort of like took those tools and then turned it into like self-employment, right?
Yeah.
When I think about Jane Mukami, when she told us about her corporate employment, then she talked about her hobby of fitness, and she turned that like fitness into the employment that she has. For you, the unique thing, you actually have 2 very unique things. First, you're the first person who I've talked to who's a mother and a business person. So right there's so many things I want you to tell us about just balancing motherhood, being a wife, and having kids and right, and being in business. So that's one. But second, you completely shifted your career. You're talking about medicine and healthcare, and then suddenly you're talking about finances, and not even finances, stock trading, and like Duta was saying, losing money or gaining money. So that's a complete shift. So tell me a little bit about like that.
How this came about. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've been in the stock market for over 15 years, even before my kids were born.
Okay.
So I was a sort of person who was always looking, trying to have my ear on the ground, like, what are people doing? How are people making money? I've always been a hustler. If there's money, I'm looking for it, okay? So I've been in the stock market for 15 years, but I didn't actually start trading till 2020. So in the beginning, I would kind of buy and hold. I didn't always know what I was doing with stocks. I would just hear people talk about stuff. Somebody in the office is talking about Rite Aid. Okay, I'm going to buy Rite Aid. I'd go on Yahoo Finance and find the stocks that people are talking about and buy them. Sometimes I'd make money, sometimes I wouldn't. Over the years, I got better at buying into quality companies. So stock market has not been new to me. Now, come 2020, I was working in clinical informatics at a cancer hospital. So I tell people this, so even though COVID was in the headlines, right? All you saw was COVID, there are still patients that needed help. If you're a cancer patient and you're on a treatment plan, you still needed to come into the hospital. So that's the kind of dynamic we were dealing with. So in my role in clinical informatics, you're kind of the liaison between the clinical folks and IT. So you're the high-level project manager in between, kind of speaking both languages. So you can imagine the chaos. You know, you have all these patients that need to be seen. Nobody knew what COVID was. Nobody knew how long it was going to last. It was utter chaos. So we were sent to work at home. And of course, my kids were at home. Now, my older daughter, being that she's autistic, she can't do schoolwork by herself. So here I was trying to work with a job that was raining emails and meetings and all this kind of stuff because COVID was so new and the nature of the work was just really, really stressful. So, I mean, it came to a point where I was like, you know, I just can't do this. This is utter chaos. And then incidentally, March of 2020, I also tried to launch a travel blog. I tried to launch a travel blog right before COVID hit, go figure. So that went nowhere. It was fun, but it went nowhere fast. So through my researching and writing this blog, I came across a lot of other travel bloggers who travel the world. And I always wondered, how do these people travel the world and how do they make money? So I came across trading, right? I came across trading as a way to make money. So when COVID was crazy, all this craziness was happening with my job, it came to a point where I just couldn't do it anymore. And I actually like quit on the spot. Not like quit on the spot, but I was just like, you know what? I sent my boss an email. I said, you know, I can't really do this. It was just, I was so stressed out and I just couldn't do it. But then my cousin said, hey, you know what? There's special provisions for COVID if you have a special needs child. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I called HR and then they told me I could take a leave of absence based on, you know, having a special needs child. So then I took a leave of absence. I think it was about 12 weeks or so. And during that time is when I learned how to trade in the market. So it wasn't too unfamiliar. It wasn't like super new. So I learned to trade in the market. So my experience until that point had been buying and holding for the longer term. But then now I learned how to trade for income. So that's the difference. You can hold for the long term, just for long-term goals, or you can trade in and out of stocks for income, which is what I learned what to do. And I'll tell you, the epiphany for me came when I was able to make enough in a single trade. I made my entire check from City of Hope. So it's like, what? Is this how people live? It was super crazy. So, you know, I just kept at it. And 2020 was actually a super easy year to trade simply because everything had been so suppressed with COVID, right? In a single day, the stock market fell like 30% in a single day. So basically from that point, everything was just kind of going up. It was just a fantastic time to get into the market. So I did well. I did well enough to the point that I thought that, you know what, I think I can teach this thing simply because I know there are a lot of people like me who have the money, have some money, not all the money, have some money, but are looking for a way to make this money stretch a little bit further, right? So I decided, you know what, I think I can teach this thing, especially to, you know, our African community, people who don't think that stocks is something that they could even get into, like stocks is not for them. So I wanted to really bring it to a place where people can say, hey, you know what, I think I can do this too. And that's kind of how I found myself creating this course. It's a digital course along with some in-person coaching, some online virtual coaching. And I started that business around November. No. I actually started writing the course, I remember, in September of 2021. And then I actually produced the course and my first students were in December of 2021. And then I stopped working, I think, the following January. So I've had the business now for 2 years.
So I've just been writing notes over here because Monga, like, I didn't know any of this about you, right? So I always thought, okay, healthcare IT. In healthcare, I have no clue about you even trying to like dabble in stocks, right? But I'm hearing you use words like buy, hold, trade, and then finding that you've been doing this for 15 years. So it almost sounds to me, and this is consistent with what everyone else is saying. One of the ways you define purpose is those things that you do sort of like as a hobby, perhaps, like spend time with them. And then at some point, a tipping point, which you defined, then that turns into some sort of business. So I want to explore that a little bit. But before I do that, you talked about doing it for yourself and then transitioning to doing it for others. So who are your customers? Who are your core customers that you serve? Who are these people that you coach?
Women. And I've been kind of been told that I'm kind of discriminatory that way. But I love women simply because that's a demographic you relate to. You find that in entrepreneurship too. You find something that you're passionate about, something that's life-changing for you, and then you think about the person who used to be like you, right? That's the person you help, the person who used to be like you. So I used to be commuting on the freeway, stressed out, get home, drop my purse at the door, immediately jump into the kitchen and start dinner. Maybe the dishes from breakfast are still in the sink. So we had nannies that would pick up our kids from school. Some would do more than others. Some would actually like clean up a little bit and some wouldn't. But you just don't know the state of the house when you get there, when you get home. So you commute on Southern California traffic, you get home, you're tired, you put your purse down, you go to the kitchen, what's for dinner? And oh, shucks, I forgot to take out the chicken to defrost. What are we gonna do now? All those things, and then at the end of the day, you gotta wash the dishes, clean up the kitchen because you don't want to wake up to this mess in the morning. So it was kind of it's hectic and it's awful, like to do the same thing day in and day out. It's just, for me, I just got to a point. I was like, you know what, this sucks. So I knew that I wanted to, I started the travel blog because I was thinking, okay, maybe this could be my way out of this, right? But then the travel blog didn't go anywhere. And then I was home and then I learned how to trade. And even when I did go back to work, I was working at home. Life was so much better. So much better with staying at home and just having that flexibility with time. So they say, like, you think about who you used to be. And that's the person, that's your target. What did you hate before? What has changed now, right? And that's the person you're targeting. That's the person you can resonate with the best.
Is that what they call the avatar? The avatar?
Yes. Your avatar is who you used to be.
I've been learning. This corporate guy is learning a little bit this past few sessions.
Your avatar is who you used to be.
Okay. Yes. So I hear you. Yeah, let me just say I hear you, right? Now, I have a question for you. That you still had an option. You could look for a different job, different role, right? You could put all your energies into a promotion or something where you can maybe get remote work. There were all those options which are available to us corporate guys.
Correct.
So why didn't you take them? What is it that you felt so deeply about working for yourself that was pushing you to work for yourself?
Okay, so I'll tell you, I did my leaving corporate was actually a stepwise process. So I left that clinical informatics job and then I moved to a role. There were new roles created because of COVID to sort of like a COVID telephone nurse. This is where, I got a clinical license along the way too. So this is a job where basically patients and staff were calling into this line to report what they have COVID symptoms or what should they do, blah, blah, blah. So it was kind of like a triage type of line. And I was doing this at home and it was way easier. So there were no meetings, no presentations, none of this stuff. Basically, the phone just starts to ring, you answer, and you say, okay, you have a treatment plan. Okay, this is what we need to connect you with your team, blah, blah, blah. Okay, staff, you have these symptoms. Okay, you need to stay home. So it was very regimented type of work, like very straightforward type of work. So I did do that actually for a couple of years. So that was my stepwise process. So you're stealing my thunder for later, actually, because I was going to say, when you're thinking of leaving corporate, it can actually be a stepwise process. You don't have to jump like straight off the cliff. You can jump into something that's not as stressful. In my world of kind of like healthcare, I know lots of like high-level nursing administrators that step down to roles that don't require the time cards and the meetings and the employee stuff, where they just go do their job and then they go back home. So you can certainly do that stepwise process, and I did do that. But here's, I think, what really changed. When I was working in informatics, my boss was Indian, and she traveled too, so she understood the need to go to Africa for 3-4 weeks. When I moved to this role, I couldn't take unpaid time off. I could only take the hours that I had earned, and that burned me so bad, I couldn't do it. Oh, I detested it. I hated the fact that I just can't go. If I want to, don't pay me, that's fine. But I want to go, and then I couldn't do it. So that was really like, you know what, I just really can't do this. I just really can't do this. And then I was making money trading, and I saw how you could create a digital course and help people. I was like, nah, I think I gotta go. I gotta try this.
So I'm seeing, again, common themes between you and the previous people we've had, right? So there's the step down. So I'm eager to hear about that as lessons, right? For others who want to do this. Yeah. Then there's also taking control of your time. That seems to be a theme.
For sure.
My time is my own. And then all of you are travelers. All you, Mokami, Leo, you guys just like traveling. I feel so bad. It's like I don't travel with you guys, right? But
you got that Google gig is sweet.
It is, and you know, and here's my comeback too. Like I have, I don't know, 20 days plus sick days plus wellness days plus carers leave plus, right? So I'm still not convinced. I'm still team corporate for now.
Okay.
But the thing that has me thinking, especially as you talked about it, was there's a process where you can maybe step down and evaluate all the options that are available for you. But before I get there, let me ask you this. So ask everyone this, so this shouldn't be a surprise question for you, which is, what is it? There's that opportunity that's there and you see it and you jump to it. There's the resources, I have the money, and so I go buy something or a service or a solution because I have money to spend, right? There's a passion that you have, which seems to be a little bit about what you're saying, like used to do Yahoo trading. There's an event that happens, which I think COVID was also a signature event in your change. And then there's DNA, right? Do you have the DNA to be self-employed? Do you think that you have that thing in you?
I think I do. And I'll tell you, you know, my husband, we're very different. I'm the sort of person who needs things to change. I'm the sort of person who needs new. He says I always need projects. I always need some way to do something different. He goes to work, the gym, food, every single day he could do that and be
that's me. That's me all day, every day.
I would be bored out of my mind. I need things to change. I need new challenges. I need to learn something new. I need new people. Like, I'm just sort of person I need new places. I've just got to go. There's some people who just got to go. And there's some people who are okay. 1, 2, 3, 4 Monday. 1, 2, 3, 4 Tuesday. 1, 2, 3, 4 Wednesday. That's not me.
But Monga, that's predictability. That's what a lot of people crave. There's so much stress going on everywhere. Why wouldn't you want something predictable?
I don't want predictability. That's boring to me.
Okay.
I want something new.
Predictability is boring?
It's boring. I want something new.
Okay.
I want something new. I know my husband says, why do you always create trouble and then you come and complain about it? You're looking for all these things and then you complain about it, but there's a part of us that loves it. We kind of love this chaos.
I think so, because I see that with Wawa also. Like, she's just craving things like new experiences, right?
Yes.
Innovations. And I'm like, no, let's just go step by step by step by step.
No,
It's like, no, just
we
get it
want
done or move out of my way, right?
we just want to jump. You just want to jump.
Okay. All right. Okay. So then,
And by the way, entrepreneurship is not for the faint-hearted.
okay.
It's not for the faint-hearted at all. So if you're not a person who can just kind of go with the flow, right? If you're not a sort of person who can go with the flow, that can be a bit difficult.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. If it's not, right? And if you have, there's probably something in you, like Mukami was talking about the itch, right? The nail that the dog was sitting on. You're kind of saying you're just like moving around. You can't stay. You even talked at the beginning of the call. You're like, you're just going to be moving around, right? So that's sort of like in you. What mindset do you need to take that first step? Okay. To take that first step and say, boss, I quit, I'm moving on. But then also realize that in taking this step into entrepreneurship or self-employment, that it's different when you're running the business and this is your source of income versus when you're doing it for fun and you're not, say, committed to the advancement of the business, if you understand what I'm saying, right? There's that thing I want to do because I like it, but then there's, I'm a business person. I need to get sales. I need to do marketing. I need to do operations. You talked about like, you know, toolbox, right? Like you need to do IT stuff. Like there's all this other stuff. So you have to have a mindset that says, I recognize that this is what I want and this is my strength. But at the same time, I'm aware that this is the baggage and overhead that's going to come with it. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I had somebody say, you have to look at your business, right? You have to look at your business, look at all the things that need to be done in your business, okay? And then pick out the things you like and pick out the things that make you money. Everything else gets distorted.
And the things
pick
that
what you like, what you enjoy, and pick what makes you money. Those two should be at the top of what you do. Everything else, if you can, give it to somebody else or put it down your list. You got to make money. If a business is not bringing in money, then it's not a business, it's a hobby, right? So all the things you don't like doing, like me, for example, I really don't love social media. I don't love it at all. But that is how you get out there, right? I love teaching, so I'll do that. I won't outsource that or find somebody else to do that. I do, you know, this. So if you must make money, otherwise it's a hobby, and then do the other things that you actually like doing. If you don't like doing them, then you can. Those are the things. Those are the things that should go off your plate. So that's what I use. That's what I use. I use those two. Is it making me money? Do I like doing it?
And if it's none of those, then figure out how to delegate it.
How do I get rid of this? Yeah, how do I get rid of this?
Okay, so now you realize who you are, your passion, you're in the business mindset, so you know that this is beyond passion, this thing has to make you money. But then you have to talk to people, right? At least I do. You know, I'm like, hey, am I making the right move? And then some people will be like, man, what are you talking? Just stay home, chill, get the job, retire, right?
Yeah.
Who did you talk to? I'm really like, who did you talk to when you were making this move?
A lot of online people. They say, you know what, mentors, you know, find a mentor or find a guide or whatever. There are so many people online that it's not even an excuse. If you say, well, I don't know anybody who's done this. There are so many people online. There's so many people online that you can follow and kind of look at their path. And then ultimately when you, for example, I mentioned when I started, when I kind of was out there a little bit and making some traction, everybody was talking about Jane Mukami. Okay, who's Jane Mukami? Google. Okay, cool. That's the person I need to follow. What does she do? Okay, this is what she talks about every day. Okay, let me try. She has something, a course coming up. Okay, let me join that thing. So you kind of learn little things along the way, right? You learn little things along the way. And another thing too is that you're always learning because, so I had no business. Then I had some kind of business. Then I had a little bit of a bigger business. And at each level, I needed something different. So like right now, where I am now, I realize I need something different, because what I've been doing, and it sounds so cliche, but what I've been done thus far has gotten me this far, but it's not going to take me to the next level. It just won't, because I'm doing all the things that used to work before. Maybe are not working now, or not working as much because my network is tapped out, or this or that. So now I need to think about, okay, so I've gone the business here. What and who do I need to get me to the next level? And at every level, Ichi, we don't know what we're doing. Every level is like starting again. Like right now, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing because I don't know how to make the business bigger. So at each point, you're learning, okay, it's almost like you start at zero. When you get to a place where you know what, you kind of know what you're doing, you're starting at zero again to kind of jump to the next level.
So this is scary. Right?
It's actually not scary at all.
No, I mean, like, okay, so for me, when I think about, and my corporate people can support me on this, right? Corporate, you kind of know the things that you need to do. These performance management, so you kind of know, okay, to go the next step, this is what I need to do. And you can see like, oh, if I want to be a director, VP, SVP,
These are the steps.
These are the steps. They may or may not work. And of course, there's networking, like let's control for all of that. But what I'm hearing you say is that you go in, you get to a certain level, and then there's almost a step function that you have to go through. But you don't even know, number one, what that step function is, who those people are, who the exemplars are. Maybe you have an idea, but maybe the idea is sort of like monetary and, you know, like self-talk, but there's no like guidance.
There's no clear, if you're looking for a clear path, it ain't there at all.
So that's not scary. That's exciting to you, Monga.
Okay, no, would I love a clear, nice path to a six-figure business? I'd love it. But there's not going to be a clear path. It's going to be like this. It's going to be up and down. It's going to be like this. And it's going to be winding. And then, you're going to find yourself at the top. But it's not going to be like a straight shot zip line. And you have to, at each point, you have to actually think about, okay, what do I do next? It's not, that's what I'm telling you, business, it's not for the faint-hearted. It really isn't. But I want to tell you, though, it's the most exhilarating thing. I love it. When you actually say to yourself, oh my gosh, Monga, you did this. Wow. It's super amazing. It is really, really super amazing, especially if you're in a business that you're passionate about, you really believe in what you have to offer to the world. When you see that make an impact, I'm telling you, it's so amazing. It's so amazing, and it's worth it. It's worth every moment of confusion and disappointment and, well, this didn't work. What do I do now? It's worth it when it works and when it impacts that person. That's why it's got to be something that you love. It's got to be something that you believe in. Otherwise, you probably will go back to ABC at Google.
Yeah.
Because it's a nice gig.
So I'm hearing you say like the whole self-actualization thing we were talking about the other day, right? Like you feel for some people, the basic things are taken care of, right? Like the basic needs. You're at a point where maybe you're quote unquote bored about the day-to-day stuff that you're doing. You're seeking adventure, which is completely down your alley. And then now you get to a point where you're feeling like self-actualized in this role that you're doing. And I get that. Then I also hear you say helping other people. So what are some of the things, tell me some of the feedback you get from other people about how you've changed their lives and how that encourages you to continue down the course of being self-employed?
Gosh, I love it so much because I have people coming to my class who have no idea about stocks, right? And a lot of my people are African women.
Okay.
They have no idea about stocks. They come into the US and they work and they make some money, but they have the similar pressures that I talked about. Pressures about back home and supporting family and all that stuff. So for them to realize that there's a way that I can make money outside my job, outside of taking on more shifts, I can make $400, $500, $6,000 outside of my job. Wow. By pressing buttons on my phone. Wow. And I did that. They didn't know how to do that. And I did that. And it makes me, I don't know if you're going to ask me what surprised me about business.
You tell me, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the things that you think are going to bring you fulfillment in business are not it. Okay. So you think, hey, if my business reaches this point or whatever, if my business hits 6 figures, oh my gosh, I'll have made it. 6 figures came and went almost without really noticing, because those are not that's not what I'm looking for. That's not what's feeding me. What's feeding me is getting a text from someone, oh my gosh, I made this. I made this while I'm in my bed. Look at my profit. That's what feeds me. So even if I'm having a bad day where I'm like, okay, I'm going to take this business and just throw it in the trash because I don't want to be on social anymore. Somebody sends me a message, immediately brings my energy back, right? So business will surprise you in terms of where you actually derive your energy. It's got to be something that you put out, that you're proud of, that impacts other people, and that's how kind of you get your satisfaction. I didn't know that about business. I thought I just wanted to grow my bottom line, and that's what would bring me like the utmost fulfillment, but that wasn't it.
So you've talked about, you're not a social media person, right? That's what you say. Okay. From what I've seen, I just joined Facebook like 3 months ago. I'm such a newbie, right? But from what I see, like not only the travel, which I know that's something very personal for you, like you like traveling and you like sharing that with people, but then also seeing you present yourself in the business mindset. How difficult has it been for you to get out of who you are so that you can grow this business?
It is difficult. I too was off Facebook for probably about 7 or 8 years. But then in realize, okay, I needed to get the word out there that I have this new thing that I'm doing. And then you will be surprised how many people are actually on Facebook. They don't do anything, they don't say anything, but they're actually there. So I started posting stuff on Facebook. I didn't post it the right way. I mean, I didn't have the training to actually get my message out in the right way. But then you realize you do have to you have to get out there, and social media is the best way to get out there. You can tell everybody what you're doing. You can, try to go to events and stuff, but social media is where people live. That's where people live. So you have to get out there. And it was very, very difficult. And the most difficult thing for me, honestly, because I'm in the money space, it's just so hard to just kind of be out there. People get out there and they bling and they're in front of these cars and that is such a tough thing for me. I'm not a blinger. So that's very, very tough for me. So that's why you notice when I'm on social, usually I'll talk about other people, my student successes. You will never hear, it's very, 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 very rare. I think there's just one podcast I did where somebody asked me outright, like, what's the most amount of money you've made in a day? And I told her. But otherwise, you'll never see me say, oh, I made this today and I made that today, because you know what? It doesn't matter. You don't care if Monga makes $10,000 today. You care about, can I do this for myself? Right? So when I'm on social, it's very, very, it's very hard to talk about myself directly. I usually just highlight the successes of others who have managed to teach. But yeah, social media, it's very difficult to put yourself out there when you're generally a pretty private person. But you have
But then again, I go back to your two principles, right? Something you enjoy and something that makes you money. So if being on social media is the avenue for you to make money, then you just have to do it. It's basically the job you have to do, right?
Precisely. It's fundamental to the job. So that's why you see me on social a lot. It's fundamental to the job. And I take breaks. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But it's fundamental to the job, therefore I do it. It makes me money, therefore I do it.
So you started down this path, and I want you to give us advice, right? I'm still team corporate. I'm still there. I haven't been swayed. But what you did say was there's a way to sort of like take a step down or try to figure things out, right? You don't always have to be in this high stress activity. So what advice would you give to people out here right now who are still team corporate, but they're dipping their foot into that sort of like self-employment, either as a function of passion or as a function of making money, monetizing something they have? What would you tell them? And I see them here. There's many of them.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with you, Ichi, and don't feel attacked.
Okay.
We love Google.
Okay.
Google is a phenomenal company. It's one of the top companies in the world, right? We love Google. You love Google.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Google may not always love you. You know why? Because you're too expensive, Ichi. You're too expensive to Google. You make too much money. There's a kid out of Stanford that's going to work 15-hour days and make half your salary and be over the moon. So sooner or later, people like you and even me at some point become expensive.
Okay.
You know what happens to the stock price when people are laid off? Stock price goes up because Ichi was too expensive. And they got rid of him. Therefore, the bottom line is better. Therefore, the stock price is going up. So we love our companies and we're loyal to them. But when it comes to making a decision, they will make the decision to cut the best of the best if they have to.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if that happens, even though you've planned to have a lifetime of Google may, who knows? Sundar Pichai, whatever his name is, he could be, if the board crosses the board the wrong way, he could be gone. So when they say if you have one source of income, that's I don't know what they say, but it's too little. You need to have multiple ways that you can make money, such that if this job, something happens with this job, is there something else that can make you a little bit, even if it's just gas money, even if it's just groceries and gas money. In my class, some people start with a goal of making $50 a day. If you can make $50 a day for a week, that's $250 gas and groceries, at least, right? So it's got to be, can you do something else that can at least tide you over if you lost the job, or if you, decided you just were sick of it and you wanted to get to something else, but you couldn't find a job right away. Number two, the reason to consider what else you might do outside your work. How about if life happens? You and I were in the same friend group.
Yeah.
Life happens, right? Life happens where you become disabled very, very unexpectedly. If you don't have anything at all to fall back on, that becomes very dangerous. People become bankrupt. This is how people end up, they're homeless. How did you end up homeless? Medical bills. Right? So if you don't have any other thing to kind of count on, or not count on, but something else that you can actually get some kind of income from, that could be really, really dangerous. And then for all of us, this is something that I think applies to all of us, whether you're in corporate or entrepreneurship, right? I think all of us need to find something that can pay us when we're not working. If you don't find something that can pay you while you sleep, you'll be working for the rest of your life, right? People have heard that, I think, from Warren Buffett. So no matter what, for all of us, whether corporate or entrepreneurship, my general perspective is what I would love for all of us to strive for is, how can I make my dollar stretch further and keep paying me when I cannot or will not work, right? How can you take your Google money and stretch it so that it pays you whether you want to stay with Google or not? How can I take my entrepreneurship money and stretch it so that it pays me whether I'm on a live with you or not, whether I'm posting on social media or not? Take that active income and put it into something passive that'll pay you no matter what's going on.
You know what, Monga, I need to interrupt because you're giving me a headache now because No, truly. And I think I'm a very average guy. So I'm sure a lot of people in this meeting can relate to what I'm about to tell you. Okay.
Okay.
All of us being Africans, when we
Mhm.
get money, there's two things we do with them. Preach, my sister, preach. I
Somebody
like that.
said, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Rose. You're so
So
funny.
we get money, we put it in the bank, right? Because that's the safest place that's the
Yeah,
safest place we know, right?
yeah, yeah.
Or, we send it to extended family and friends, because
Mhm,
that's like
mhm.
the biggest
That's
thing
what we
Africans
do.
do,
That's what we do. Yeah.
right? Or we get annoyed and we spend it, right? Like, we
Mhm.
only live once, let's go spend it.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm hearing you say is that you can still do those things. But
Mhm.
if you do it in a way like, let's say you invest in stocks, which is a new thing for a lot of Africans, because that's
Yes,
not
for
something
sure.
we grew up with.
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
Maybe what you get out of those stocks can actually feed those three things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then the second thing that you said that's giving me a headache is, we had this Reimagine Wealth with Jean a few months ago, and we're talking about the definition of wealth, right? The difference between being wealthy and being rich. Being rich is a function of how much money you have, right?
Mhm.
Being wealthy is a function of time, and time being defined as how long can you, with the existing lifestyle you have,
Yep.
sustain the money you have without lifting a finger.
Precisely.
And that's what you're talking about.
Precisely.
If you can build your income to a point where, regardless of what's going on, it can sustain your lifestyle for an extended amount of time, then that's wealth. And I think I'm
Precisely.
hearing you say just being corporate may not be able to sustain that definition of wealth that we're talking about.
Not necessarily. If you do the right things and the smart things, and you have high income, your high income can go much further. You just have to know what to do with it. You just have to know what to do with it, and you have to just look around and see. One of the things that I'm learning how to do is putting a lot more thought into is real estate. I did it years and years ago, but I didn't do it well. So now I'm learning how to do it well. Right? So you, Mr. Google, can build a portfolio of properties that cash flow and pay you a high percentage of your salary of what you earn. There are people who make a lot of money just in cash flow. That you can make 6 figures from your properties in cash flow, right? And that you can build that using your salary. So it's all about taking your Google money and putting it into something that's going to keep paying you, right? Whether you're with Google or not, whether you decide you want to start a podcast, hint, something like that, whatever, you just find a way where the money keeps on paying you. And I'm seeing a lot too, even in the entrepreneurial space, as I follow a lot of these younger and African entrepreneurs. Everybody's thinking about the long game. What is the long game? The long game is building these assets that are going to keep paying you no matter what you're doing. I'm biased a little bit because I'm in the stock market. So in the stock market, there's basic growth, right? Google, you buy Google shares at $83, and now it's $147. So that's the growth, right? Tremendous growth. You can also invest in stocks that pay you dividends, whereby you get a payout just for holding the stock. You can get into real estate investment trusts. Those are stocks for real estate companies that manage and operate real estate. They pay dividends, sometimes monthly. There are kids who live on dividends. Their grandfather built them this huge portfolio, and they're making $80K a year, just dividends.
Not lifting a finger.
No, they're partying every night at Harvard.
Okay.
Because they have a salary of $80,000 that's on dividends from grandpa's portfolio. So I know that there's this whole thing about generational wealth, this buzzword, right? But you gotta think about how that's actually going to happen. You can have a 401k, a healthy 401k, sure, but consider this: you're still gonna have to pay taxes on that money, when it's time to take it out. And who knows what your tax bracket is going to be then. If you have Bernie Sanders or somebody in there, some liberal, extreme liberal, you could be paying higher taxes then than you're paying now.
Yeah.
But if you take some of that money and put it into something that's generating money, then it, you're just kind of making money over time. So you have to kind of think about, okay, I'm in corporate, I'm making this money, what can I do with it? I'm an entrepreneur, I'm making this money, what can I do with it to stretch it?
So Monga, why don't you open stock? Why don't you open Stock Brotherhood? Like you just said that your avatar is just women. Now you're telling me, and let's see, I see a lot of guys here, Kina Alfu, I see, who did I see? What about us? You're telling us we can do this, but Stock Sisterhood is not open to us. Anyway, you know what? I'll have that discussion with you.
Yeah, get your sisters, your significant others. Let's make this a movement. I don't want women to be left out, because women are left out. Yeah. Women are left out. They don't know where the money is. They don't know. When I started talking about this stock thing, I was super excited and exuberant and telling everyone, and all these women told me, oh, my brother does it, or my husband does it, or somebody does it. What about you? What about you?
Wait, repeat. I want you to repeat that, and I'm going to make sure it's in the notes. So say it again. So you're talking to these women, and they're saying their significant other, their partner, their brother, their relative is the one who does that. Like they're not in the money business. No. And what do you say? What do you tell them?
I told them, you can do it too. Why are you waiting? Why are you waiting for somebody to feed you? Like, why are you waiting? Like, I'll go to events and I'm talking about stocks, and then guys will gravitate and listen, and women start kind of.
Wow.
But it's changing.
I feel like calling out so many women over here.
It's changing. It is changing. It is changing. It is changing. We can do this. We can do this. We work and we can do this. We can invest on our own.
So I have 2 more questions to ask you. Then I'll open it up, because I'm sure people have questions.
Sure.
One is something that we've talked about before, and which is the whole notion of imposter phenomenon, imposter syndrome. Like, you're talking like you're the authority on this, but I know sometimes you go back and you're like, man, do these people know that I don't know what I'm talking about right now? Do you ever experience that?
Yeah, right now. Right now. I'm an imposter right now. Can anybody see? I'm an imposter right now. Right now. Honestly. Always. You feel like that's why you have to find what it is that feeds you, and make sure you work hard. Like, I work my tush off to make sure my students get it, and I offer my help, because I know that's what's going to feed me when they do well. And that's what's going to keep me not thinking that I'm a phony, right?
Yeah.
Especially when families looking at you, like, it just feels kind of weird. Like, okay, what happened to you, all your degrees? Like, oh, now you're talking stocks now? Since when? All of that stuff. So it stays in your mind, but you got to work on that thing that's going to make you feel like, hey, you know what? I'm doing what I set out to do. You got to work hard for that thing that feeds you.
So then, you talk about, my niece, right? And having a special needs daughter. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, especially in the US, that has to come with, okay, I need to have like stable healthcare. I need to have, like, you have all these things that perhaps you think about in the back of your mind.
True.
How do you then reconcile that also with, okay, now I'm self-employed, so I have to figure things out?
Absolutely.
How does that work?
I am blessed because I have a partner who has that. But I can imagine the difficulty if you are with, if you're solo, right?
Yeah.
And you're the person who carries the insurance. And that may be where you do your stepwise type thing, where you can't step away just yet. You just kind of have to just kind of hang in there until you get to a place where you can pay. And then another thing too, Gosh, there's so much to this. Yeah, but I mean, my daughter goes to public school because public school has the best resources for her. But of course, you have to live in a pretty fairly decent area for that. But you may not be able to step off the ledge right away. You may have to do like kind of like a stepwise process. And then just work harder. You just gotta work harder because you know the money's gotta come, right?
Right.
You gotta make the money come, so you gotta work hard. And hey, you know what? Uber, DoorDash, people do that while you're an entrepreneur. People do that, by the way. That's the piece that you don't see. Social media during the day, DoorDash at night, Uber at night. You can do this. Amazon warehouse, you can do it. You can do it. Walk at Walmart, you can do it.
You know what?
You can do it to make up that gap. You can do it.
Nancy asked about that, I think, in the first talk. She said, okay, like people glamorize the success, but what about all the work that's being done? So as long as you maintain your vision, your dream, your desire, right? And then you back it up with people who will respond so positively to the outcomes and the things you're giving them, then the rest will come. And in the fifth session, I'm going to bring in Carl, who's a broker, and I think he has an answer to a lot of those questions about, okay, what about healthcare? What about, you know, all these things that people risk losing?
Right.
To your point, especially if they're solo entrepreneurs and don't have someone else supporting them. So I will wrap up with asking you these 4 questions that came up the last 2 times. One was centered around, you know, technical skill growth and development. Like you still need to learn new things, right? Like you need to figure out new things. You've been transparent about the struggle of pivoting. How do you manage stress? And how do you manage your mental health? And then how do you grow yourself and develop yourself so that you continue to provide these services to all these people?
Okay, so you said, how do I manage stress?
How do you manage stress and your mental health, right? And then how do you, maybe the way to ask it is, do you actually dedicate time to developing your technical skills and grow yourself? Because if you don't, someone else out there will come and capture a market, right?
For sure.
Yeah, those are the 2 main things, because you've actually been transparent about the struggle of pivoting, like you've been able to talk to us about that. And then I see from the pictures, there's a humongous return on time because you're always traveling to all these 37 countries. So I think I'm okay with that one. But those 2 in particular, I'd be interested in hearing what you say.
How to manage stress. You've got to just give yourself breaks, and you've also just got to give yourself grace. One of the things that I learned early in my journey is that everybody will tell you entrepreneurship is up and down, right? It's a roller coaster. But until you're in it, you're actually not going to know like how fast that roller coaster goes, right? It's like, whoa, right? It is like high highs and low lows. So one of the things that I learned is to remain even keeled. Stay the same. Don't get too high. When fantastic things happen, don't get too high. And when bad things happen, don't get too low. Stay even keeled.
How do you do that?
You learn. I'm going to give you some people to follow. I'm telling you some, you know, I'm going to give you some people to follow that help. A lot of YouTube motivational type stuff. But yeah, when you stay even, it used to be in the beginning, my husband would walk in the door. He just knows if it was good, something good happened or something bad happened. Because it was so like on me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this happened. And oh my gosh, this happened. But you just even keeled. That way, you don't get too low and you don't get too high, and you just put your head down and you keep going, right? So that's a skill that really, really helped me and I learned. And then just take time to do stuff for yourself. I love to read. Travel, of course, is a big thing, but I love to read. I like getting outside. I like running. So things like that. Find out what it is that you really enjoy, and don't put it. Make time for it. Make time for the things you enjoy. Don't kind of push it too much to the back burner because you got to run, because otherwise you definitely run out of steam. And then another thing that really helps me is that I have a core set of people that I follow online that I know give me juice that I need. Okay, so I have them here. There are 3. One of them, and in no particular order, I just really love all of them. Mel Robbins. I don't know if you know who that is, Mel Robbins, and like Mel, M-E-L Robbins. So she has a really good podcast, and she talks about, just try her. She's really, really good. Mel Robbins. And then I also like Myron Golden.
Yeah.
He's this gentleman who teaches about, business using biblical principles, and he just gets you off your butt to work. I really like Myron Golden, and I also really like Vusi Tembegwai. I think that came up in the last call. His name is Vusi, V-U-S-I.
Yeah.
Tembegwai. He's a South African excellent gent. He's just a brilliant young man, and his videos they just motivate you, right? So I listen to this stuff. Because I know it's going to juice me up. You've got to keep feeding yourself with people, people online or people, and here's another thing too. You got to have somebody that you can call that understands your struggle. Like if I'm an entrepreneur and I come to you, Mr. Google, and say, hey, oh my gosh, today I had a webinar that I thought it went well, but nothing happened. You're not going to get it. You're going to say, well, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this?
Yeah. Guilty.
Yeah, exactly. Did you do that? You must you sent out a reminder. Surely I did all those things, but still nobody came. Oh, a few people came or whatever. So you've got to have those people that you can pick up the phone and say, oh man, this happened. And then they say, oh man, I hate it when that happens, because they get you. If you talk to somebody who says, oh, well, did you do this? No. You got to have people who get you when you say what it is that happened. They say, oh, shucks, that's happened to me too. Dust yourself off and let's go. One of the things that somebody who has a business also said to me is that, that you've got to, if you're in business, you've got to believe that the sun rises every morning. You've got to believe that. You've got to believe that tomorrow's a new day and tomorrow I'm going to start again. You've got to believe that. If you don't believe that the sun rises every morning and you'll start again, it'll be very tough for you. But all these are things that I've learned over the years. So you just got to keep feeding your mind with people and, books and stuff that just makes you keep going, so that you stay even, so that you keep making just incremental steps and just kind of take a nice steady climb upward. It's not going to be like this. It's going to be like this slowly, and you just got to keep going along the way.
So I could talk for days,
I know you could.
But I want to be respectful of all these people who waited so long. By the way, I appreciate all of you. We're East Coasters. It's almost 10. It's past 10 now. So want to open it up for questions. Then I'll give you sort of like my final thoughts. So whoever wants to ask my dear sister Monga any questions, please. This is free stuff. Like, she's going to give you free tips, right? Things that you pay for. So please ask away.
Let's see. I'm going to call folks out. Rose, we haven't heard. Rose, Mukami, nice to see you. Maureen. Gilo, you better talk, brother. Waja, let's see who else is on. Who else do I know that's on? I'm going to call some of you all out. How do I see the list? How do I see everybody?
So if you
Aggie, Alf, Betty, Eva, would love to hear from you. Eve speaks. Monica, let's see. Naomi, nice to see you. Rose, V, Wanja. Or if anybody's thinking about entrepreneurship and if you have any ideas you'd like to share that we can kind of talk about, I'm very open. Okay, how about you guys tell me what brings you here? Something attracted you about this conversation, right? So what attracted you about this conversation? Somebody, anybody?
I will go.
All right.
Monga.
Yes, ma'am.
I know I met you online on Facebook even before like any introductions or anything. And thank you so much for being so forthcoming with information.
Of course.
I came in late, so I didn't catch the beginning and watch the recording later. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to say, to add on to the speakers that you listen to, people who are into business and all that, especially how you're talking about, failure and waking up every day
Mhm.
and thinking it's a new day.
Mhm.
Diary of a CEO by Steve Bartlett is a really, really good podcast and
Okay.
YouTube show. He does awesome interviews, and I learned so much from people who've been in business before and all these things. So you can add Steve Bartlett to it. Diary
Okay.
of a CEO.
Okay. And that's
But
wonderful. Wonderful.
I'm hyped to listen to your talk today. So
Wonderful. So what are you in corporate, or I think you have a business, right?
yeah, I'm trying to go into business. Yes, I'm going into business. I'm still shooing in corporate funding the other side. So
Okay, so
yes,
what is your business?
coaching high school kids to get into
Yes, yes,
college. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. I remember that. I remember that.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's needed work. I hear college applications are like another job these days. So your work is needed.
Thank you, Eve. Betty Small. Betty, we can't hear you.
How about now?
Hey, friend.
No, we can.
Hello. I am so happy. Thank you, Ichi, for putting this together. And I'm so glad that I'm here. I was looking through the the list of the guests. And when I saw yours is on a Tuesday, I was like, yeah, because Fridays are a little harder for me to get here. So nice to meet you here again. So I am one of those who is pivoting from, do people call nursing corporate?
It can be. Well, we just mean a job, right?
Right. You're being employed by a
The
corporation
job
versus you
before
employing
I pay
yourself.
all that stuff. Yeah, leaving all that. That's what we mean.
Exactly. So I am one of those who's pivoting currently, and I am in the business of trying to help fellow nurses who want to transition from doing several shifts, different jobs, combining different jobs into transitioning into having their own businesses, something that they're passionate about. So that is my passion, that is my goal. And I know we spoke before and I know what you do. So I was like, let me come over here. Ichi, I'm not on your side. Corporate,
What?
not for me. No. No, I've done it for 15 years. It served me well, but I want to have some level of control with my time, with my finances, with my location, not having to be told you can't take a vacation now, you can't take time off now. I want to be one somewhere in the world, not just in one spot and have one location. No. So yeah, that is what I'm doing currently, and I'm so happy for all the tips that you've shared over here. I've added some of this motivational and inspirational stuff onto my list. So yeah, I'm so happy to be, and thank you for putting this together. I was able to listen to Mukami and the other guy over the weekend. I was like, I gotta be here today. So I look forward to Jean's. Is it next Friday?
Yeah,
I
so
think so.
we have Jean on Friday, and
This
then
coming Friday or next?
this coming Friday,
This
like
coming
in
Friday,
3
okay.
days, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Betty, then the following week we have Carl. And let me just tee this up, right? A lot of people are asking, do I bootstrap? Do I acquire? I think for us, not knowing what self-employment is about sometimes handicaps us, so cripples us, because we're like, oh, where do I get money? Where do I get financing? How do I even know what to get? So when he comes, Betty, if you're able to make it, that could be one of the questions you ask him. You say, this is what I'm interested in. You broker businesses. Do you have a business like this? What does it look like? Because you'd be surprised. These people who are quote unquote retiring from self-employment and they're selling businesses. And then we have a lot of, especially in Atlanta, and Cali, y'all ain't black folk out there. In ATL, black folk out here. There's a lot of people who want to fund black businesses, who want to fund women-owned businesses. So even as you as you hear the journeys of the people who are speaking on Wezesha, I also want you to think, well, there's also other avenues where I can get to what I want through acquisition versus bootstrapping. But thanks for sharing, Betty. That's really good.
Thank you.
And one thing, Ichi, I wanted to make sure there's a distinction between entrepreneurship and self-employed, right?
Yeah.
So if you cannot walk away from your business and have it still run, then you're self-employed. If you can walk away from your business and have it run successfully, then you're an entrepreneur. So right now we're still all self-employed.
You know, I wasn't even thinking about it that way, by the way, but I'm going to listen to that recording and get that definition.
Self-employed.
Because for me, I've always thought, right? So someone once told me, you know, you bootstrap something, you have an idea, you bootstrap it, you get funding, that you're an entrepreneur, like it's new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to a point where that new thing actually starts growing legs, right? Like it's starting to become a thing that makes money. Then you have to stop this entrepreneurial things and actually think about it as a business, right? And then you start making more money, then it becomes a big business.
Yeah.
And then you make more money, then you sell it. Right?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so I guess there are new definitions everywhere. But yeah, bottom line is you start from somewhere.
Yeah, you have to start from somewhere. You know, you said something. I was spending time here looking up. I'm like you. I spend if Leo Gilo knows this, right? Get up in the morning, hit the gym, walk the dog while I listen to Hidden Brain, Shankar Vedantam, and all the people he interviews. And I do this process of sort of like reflection and reconciliation. I reflect on what I'm reading or what I'm listening to. I reconcile that against who I am today and who I want to be. And that really starts my day. And then I look at my calendar and I'm very committed to finding, I call them moments that matter, right? Because when you're in high stress environment, you have to find a portion of your day where you're going to do something that really means something to you, that pushes you through the rest of the day, right? And you know, I was listening to, Shankar was interviewing this guy, Adam Grant, who's another guy, one of my favorites too. And Adam Grant was talking about his new book, Fulfilling Potential, Hidden Potential, I think is what the new book. And in the book, he talks about a class he took with a PhD, right? Like this is the authority on the subject. But everyone who attended that class came out of that class not happy because the PhD already knows. So you can't learn a lot from him. So what he said, I'll read what he said. He said, different mentors are able to point out different landmarks. You cobble them together into the map that works for you. And I think that's what I'm hearing you say. Like, you're not just one person. You don't want the truth from one person. You just want them to give you like a map. You kind of give you directionally so that you can put things together yourself and chart the course for yourself, right? So yeah, all right. I'm about to wrap up. Anyone else who has another question for my sister here? Don't bother her after this because she's out there making money. And you're gonna have to sign up for Stock Sisterhood. But
by the way, this was supposed to, I have a challenge. I just decided today, the dates of my upcoming challenge. I know some people may have wanted to hear more about the actual market, but I know that's not what we're here today. So I have a challenge starting at mid-February, I think February 12th, something like that. So I'll share the link somehow. Usually it's a 3-day session where you learn everything about the market. I tell you what the market is all about, and then you actually go through the process of buying a stock and selling a stock. So it's usually a 3-day series. So for those who want to know about that part of my business, so I trade in the market. That's one side of my life. And then the business is my digital course and my program. So for those who want to hear a little bit more about the actual program or how you can make money. By the way, I share so much in this challenge, you actually don't even need me. In this challenge, I actually give you everything you need. What's the market all about? How do you open a brokerage account? How do you buy? Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff, I can give it to you in 3 days. You only need me if you want to trade for income. But if you just want to start a portfolio, which everybody should, Everybody should start a stock portfolio. I'm telling you, please do. Your future self will thank you. And there are easy ways to do it. You can invest in individual companies. You can invest in market sectors. You can invest in the whole market. If you say, I don't want to be bothered with all that stuff, just put me into something good. So easy to do, guys. Your future selves will thank you.
So I hope Google's making you money.
Oh, Google's making me a lot of money. Oh, Google's one of my favorites. Oh, y'all are making me a lot of money.
I love
Every
that.
day. Every day.
Okay, cool. Alfu says, thank you. I see a lot of question for Monga. Is the kind of investment you teach on technical trading or long-term investment of stocks? And what would you advise is the realistic return on investment?
Both. I teach both. So like I said, if you want to just start a portfolio for the longer term, I give you plenty of information for that, right? And then if you want to trade for income, that's technical trading, right? That's where you look at the charts. The charts tell you where to buy and where to sell, right? So I teach that if you want to make income. You cannot trade for income if you don't know how to read charts. You're not gonna do well, right? So I teach both. And I always want my students to have two views. I want them to always have the long-term view. Remember, we talked about the long game. I always want you to be thinking about, hey, how do I feed this big machine that's going to keep paying me? So I trade here, I make income. Say I make $1,000. I'm going to put it into something to ride for the long term. So both. I hope that answers your questions, Alf.
Okay. And Alice just DM me and I'll tell you how to listen to the other speakers. We have an events calendar and then we have recordings from the other two. Monga, I told you, like, this was the one I was waiting for because
thank you so much for inviting me.
My sister, I think a lot of people could relate to that thing of being a wife and a mother.
Yeah.
And then transitioning from something quote unquote completely different from what they used to do to something that frankly a lot of us Africans, that's not in us. We're hide it under the mattress, put it in the bank, you only live once, or send it to our relatives.
That is so accurate, by the way. That what you're saying is so accurate. That's how we operate. There's a different way.
And so for you to be able, and then also I think I hadn't thought about this until now, was when you talked about your avatar and also thinking that I think you're in the business of empowering or creating empowerment structures, Wezesha structures for women. Like that's literally what you're doing. So I appreciate you for that. All right, someone raised their hand. Duta, what's up?
It's all good. I have time.
Yeah, it's kind of getting late. Monga, I love you, Monga. I am definitely Team Monga.
Just met her.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much. No, I'm actually 1 foot out of corporate and 1 in, so definitely Team Monga. I love you. I've loved everything that you have presented here. Is there any way we can call you, reach you?
Sure. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, find me on Facebook and then just send me a message. So for those who don't know how to spell my name is Monga. Let's see, is there a chat on this thing? Yeah,
there's a chat you find next to the number of people down there. Here, I'll do it for you.
Yeah, just find me on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram at the Stock Sisterhood on Instagram.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Sisterhood on IG. Yeah, and I'm super responsive. Just send me a message and then we can definitely chat.
Okay, thank you.
And you know what, Dita, what you should ask her to do for you. I saw her do this the other day. She took a group of girls up to Napa Valley and wine.
Oh, that was so nice. That was last October. We went on a retreat.
I definitely want to come to that one.
It was so lovely.
Monga, I do have a Fidelity account. I kind of lost quite a bit of money and I refuse to sell. And it sits there. And every time I look at it, I see my money is all the way down. So we're going to talk about that.
We can talk about that. I actually, it's a long conversation, but some people actually, I've talked to a lot of people, unfortunately, that, pay for stock and then it's now super low and they don't know what to do. And I can actually think of some people have repositioned. Sometimes you got to just take the loss and reposition into something better, but it just all depends on what you're in. I don't know. I don't know what you're in. So we can definitely talk about that. Somebody says, dropship hacking says, how much do I need to start investing in stocks? I can't tell you, it depends on your budget, but when I start teaching, you actually don't need any money. We practice first. There's something called paper trading. So you open your brokerage account and then you practice. It's almost like Monopoly. You use Monopoly money like a demo account. So I never want anybody to come into the market and actually start trading their real money. And I also never want anybody to come in with too much money. I started with too much money and that was a mistake. Because then you think you're so good and then, so you don't know what you're doing yet. So you don't actually need the money. You can just open your brokerage account. Let's start practicing. You can put in maybe $500. When you feel a little more confident, maybe you can move that to 2,000 and then, moving on. But I never want anybody to start with too much money.
Good.
There's any number of stocks too. There's, one of the beautiful things that's happened, and I'll stop talking, that's happened in the past 3 years is that we've had these stock splits. For example, Google. A single share of Google used to be close to $3,000. But now you can buy a single share for $147. So it's made this a lot more accessible for folks to get into really phenomenal companies at an affordable price. Amazon, all of those companies have split. So you don't need as much money as you needed before to get into some really, really top 5, companies in the world.
Yeah, I did. When was it Amazon when it split and it was at what, $90? And because of the fear of getting back into trading, I could have gotten in, but I was terrified.
Unfortunately, if you're terrified, you miss a lot of opportunity.
Unfortunately,
you miss a lot of opportunity when you're terrified. You kind of start the bad way, and then you become terrified, and then you just miss opportunities, unfortunately. But it's all good. People can always start. So I want to hear, guys, Team Monga, who won? Corporate or entrepreneur?
I think
Naomi
from what
says
I
Team
from,
Monga. Betty says Team Monga.
No. From what I heard, people love you, right? So that is biasing their opinion about whether.
Okay, there's no right. Just make your money work. We're on team. Make your money keep working. That's the team.
I think so, and I think that's what I'm finding with a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe there's not one way, and I think the whole point of Wezesha was to actually create that platform where you can share all this information. So people can then decide, right? Because
that's true.
Some people will leave these weeks of sessions and say, I'm good where I am, but now the other side is. Some people will make transformational changes. Like their life could change just because of what you told them. But it's 10:27 our time, 11:27 yours. These things are supposed to be an hour. They always end up going long.
I know.
Because the conversation is great.
Yeah.
Monga, I love you. I enjoyed you coming. This was so good. There's a lot of people who are Team Monga, so you've got a lot of new fans. You put your Stock Sisterhood on IG. Everyone, I'll post it on the chat, but please visit Stock Sisterhood and support our sister. And thanks for joining.
Thank you. Ichi for president. Ichi for president. We're waiting for your podcast, brother. Gilo, you're sitting on the fence. I gotta push you over.
You keep pushing me, and tell Soleil I'm sporting John Barbados, so we're Team John Barbados, okay?
All right.
All right, everyone. Even Gilo said something. Gilo did speak.
He says sitting on the fence. It's okay to sit on the fence. Let's just make our money work. That's all I'm asking.
Money work. Okay.
That's all I'm asking. Right?
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Monga, so much.
Thank you so much. This was wonderful. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye.